Welcome to the very first Forteller workshop. Today we're going to be talking specifically about how to work with Forteller, whether you have before or not. This will be a really good way to kind of get a refresher of, okay, am I doing things the right way? Or if you haven't worked with us before, it's an amazing way to get started. For anybody who doesn't know who we are, what Forteller is, we are primarily an audio narration company for board games. That's how we got our start. Recently, we've been branching out to some physical products as well as bumping my mic. Physical products like our deck of mini dice, and we're working on a new TTRPG called Sunset. That at the moment, the deck of many dice doesn't involve any voice work, but Sunset definitely will coming up. I can't say much more than that, but I know for certain that we will be using some sort of voice actor input for Sunset in the future. But the main thing everybody knows us for is that badge on the screen there. On the screen, boop, boop, on the screen there, are narrative companions. These are by far the thing people know us for the most, and as well the thing that our actors are in. I said get started with the best game narration company because I'm outside of a company narrating their own game. There isn't another company out there that does what we do, working with a bunch of publishers narrating their products. So, any questions about who we are, what we do, before I get into it? Give everybody a second to use that chat feature or however they'd like to respond. If not, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next slide, and you're welcome to ask your question, and I'll pause whenever I see it. Perfect. So my cool little transition there. I used Canva for making my presentation today. It's kind of cool. The agenda. Today, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit more about the team, because I think it's really important to know who you're auditioning for, who's running that casting call. Then the casting call themselves, kind of analyzing it a little bit, learning about how we run our various types of casting calls, what different aspects of those you need to be looking out for, what I look for when somebody submits an audition, as well as number 3, the auditions themselves. We're going to talk a little bit about how to audition, but I want to save auditions itself for its own workshop, because I think there's a lot that goes into that personally, both how you do it for us, but just how you do it in general. But we'll briefly talk about auditions, software, hardware, and some things to keep track of, like script analysis, those things. In the poll that we did before this workshop, we talked a lot about what the different things we would like to see. So probably going to go in order of popularity. And I definitely think that script analysis was going to be the next one, if not the what did I call it? The cold read, that one. The cold read along, that's what it was. And then lastly, again, I'm the social media manager. We'll talk about me more in a second. Marketing is very important. Selling yourself as a voice actor is almost as good as being as knowing how to press record, in my opinion. We'll talk about that in more detail when we get there, because it gets a bad rap. Not everybody needs to be an influencer, but you need to know how to market yourself. So let's go ahead and get into the team. Again, Forteller, get to know the people you're going to be working with. The whole company, where our icon, our logo is this really fancy wizard hat thing. Even in Discord here, I have a little hat that I have for my character. Why I think it's important to know the people you're working for is it influences how you contact them if you need something, but also how you respond to them. Professionalism is always important, right? But there's a time and sometimes a place where you can let loose a little bit. While we definitely value the professionalism, it makes you reliable 100%. But if you can have fun while being professional, that makes you memorable. So that's one thing that I don't want to say we look for, but it makes it easier to work with people if we know that they're going to be a lot of fun. Wow, they go really all out on those auditions. Or, we sent, for anybody who has worked with us already, we send out our casting emails, and they're flavored very spectacularly. Salutations! The time is upon us. We have one more, wonderful thing, and it gets very flowery and fun. So if you respond in kind, those kinds of things are very valued. But again, let's go over the team. The top side over on the right is more focusing on the audio department, and the bottom side on the right, from Thomas to Mike. Those people you might not interact with very much unless you see us out in public at a convention or something, but Thomas is obviously very important. I'm going to start on the top side because those are people you'll interact with the most. First, me. Hi. That's me cosplaying as Summer Games Ana from Overwatch. And yes, I have a gold gun because I played a lot of Ana back in the day. It's a rather old picture at this point. But, again, I'm the social media manager and a voice actor myself. I started at Forteller about, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. Contrary to the image, I'm no longer a member of the village. About, I think, 3 or 4 years ago this March will be when my sort of Forteller anniversary. But I started off just doing some voice acting originally. Then I was brought on to do some social media stuff, as well as recently I've been working on casting. When in casting, I am not proficient yet. I'm still learning as a casting director, but Adam has been a good help. And you say, who's Adam? Well, that'd be the next guy on the list, the skull, the sad skull. Adam is fantastic. He is the head of our audio department, our creative director, the main casting director, a very good sound engineer, a voice actor in his own right, and I call him the osteo aficionado, and I probably spelled that wrong. But Adam's really nice. He is the one who writes those really flowery emails, and it's just a lot of fun to work with. And AJ, who's here in the audience with us, he is our lead sound engineer, also known by Sword Coast Soundscapes on Instagram and YouTube, and I may have spelt, I don't know if you have like an underscore in your name, I apologize, AJ. But does a lot of work with these fantastic ambiance background music, and we use that in all of our we use AJ's skills in all of our products. And he, as well, this past year, been working on casting, too. I can't mention the game that he did. I don't think so, anyway. I don't remember which game you did recently, AJ, but you're welcome to say that in chat if we're able to announce that one. I don't remember. Lastly, for like the rounding up people you might interact with, is Thomas. Thomas St. Pierre is our owner, CEO, and obviously the lead developer of the Forteller app, where all of our audio goes into. And he also, of course, as the owner and CEO, signs the checks. He signs my checks, he signs everybody's checks, and he's the one that those payments from PayPal are going to go out to when you do get one of our roles. Then some people who you might not interact with, we have Jason McCracken. He is just joined last year. Forteller Games now announcing Baldur's Gate 4. You did the casting for Daenerys? Nice. Or the original? Then you did more than just last year casting. It was a year and a half ago now, I think, if not more, on the original recording. But yeah, Jason has been a voice actor with us for a long time, since before I was here. He's the prolific guard voice, and I think he's a couple of people in the upcoming Midara narration as well, and he's Izenden, I believe, in Daenerys. Very, very amazing person, but he is also our convention manager. And then lastly, we have Mike Tomasak, just brought on towards the end of last year as our lead writer for Sunset. Again, you probably won't meet him, but if we do work on projects in the future for Sunset, he'll be involved heavily. So any questions about who we are if need to be, but again, the point is know who you're working for, if at all possible. I think being able to have a sort of personal relationship outside of just I see role, I submit my audition, I move on. I understand that's difficult to do for every single audition that we do in this industry. if you have to put in that amount of effort. But I think it does pay back when you do end up getting the role, because you're more memorable, and I'll talk about why that's important a little bit more as we get to casting calls. I see Jerry typing, so we'll give everybody just a second to write their questions or say if they. I think I may have fallen off the email casting call list. I don't remember having seen one in a while. Yes, and we'll get to that in just a moment for the reasoning for that. But you're right, we have not sent one out in a little bit. The main reason is we haven't had a large casting call since, I believe, the last one open casting call we did was for Gloomhaven, but even that one I don't think went out on the email. But we're gonna head on. So talking about casting calls. So we do run a variety of casting calls for a number of reasons for our narrative companions. So you want to make sure you're checking on all of our social media, our Discord, and your email inbox. And we'll cover why in just a second, because our first casting call is our open casting calls. These ones are commonly used. We use personally Google Forms for a majority of our casting calls. You fill out all your information, and then it submits it to a thing, and then it gets applied to it. It's just very convenient if done right. Otherwise, it has issues. But this is a pretty convenient way for us to do casting calls. There are more professional ways to do it, but for us, as a team of only 6 guys in a very niche company in a niche market, it works really well for us. Then for places to keep an eye for these open casting calls, these usually are announced publicly on all of our social media and in Discord, and occasionally on casting call websites and casting call emails. The casting call email, it has so many people on it, right? And we want to give those people the opportunity, but it depends on the type of game. For example, the last one we did was Gloomhaven. This is the Gloomhaven 2025 edition. It's not a remake, but they're kind of what's that? Without having to explain the gaming industry, people who are just voice acting here, it is they're basically making a new one based on the old content, but rewriting everything. So it is a massive project. It's used to be the #1 board game in the world on the for a long time, and so it has a lot of characters. It's a big, heavy, dense book. I don't have it around, but for on the floor here, for example, this is for Madara, which is a similarly sized game, maybe a little bit more audio length potentially, but this is how big the book is for that game. And so big sections, basically an audio book, just walls of text. But Gloomhaven has a little bit less than that, but not important. Big giant books like that, big games like that, are really hard to do massive casting calls for because of the sheer amount of characters. Because, as said on the bottom tick here, casting calls like this take a long time because we get over 500 auditions every time. I think Gloomhaven had closer to 700. So these ones are really good. Remaster, yeah, remaster is a good word for it. Let's go ahead and talk about the next kind, is internal. And I made these terms up entirely. We don't actually call them this. We don't have a term for them. It's just a casting call. But I kind of tried to break them down to make them understandable. And we usually, if you see it in public, you know it's an open, so it's obviously open to everybody. An internal casting call is for actor recasts or smaller projects. So let's say it's a smaller game like Phantom Epoch, or we did one of these for Forsaken, I believe we did, and Forsaken's a pretty big game too in its own right. But we did a internal casting call for Forsaken. I don't think we posted that one anywhere. These ones are usually held on Discord alone. We're just gonna put a text an at all voice actors, letting you detective. I don't know how they cast detective though. That was before. Or no, I guess we did the detective expansion. Yeah, we did that one on Discord as well. But the main game, I think they did before me. Anyway, these are going to be held solely in Discord. these could be a number of, ways, usually done again with the Google Forms, but it's just an at voice actors. Hey, here's our new game. Here's the information. Usually in a forum or a specific channel that we'd get rid of after the game came out. And these ones are relatively quick because we know what we need and we know what we're looking for ahead of time. And for the people who are more active in the channel, apologies, the people who are more active in Discord with us, we kind of know once you've submitted a couple auditions, and we'll get into that here in just a second. Once we've seen some work from you, we know what to expect. So we know if you're going to be able to pull that voice off. So we know if we're going to get an audition or not. Then lastly, our private casting calls. These ones are for, again, smaller games or short timeline, short turnaround projects like a trailer or a quick little video that a company might want us to produce, or very specific roles, whether it's a character with a very specific accent or like a minority that has, again, a very specific tone of voice that the publisher wants. We worked with a game called Kinfire, and their game is very progressive. It has a bunch of vast array of the cast, so we wanted to make sure we represent those people as well as possible. So while voice acting, you're behind a mic, we don't know for certain. Sometimes it is important, and it is to us to represent the characters that the publishers write as best as possible. So to do that, we either know people ahead of time, say, oh, for example, if I need someone to sound like they're from Africa, instead of finding somebody who can do an African accent, we work with Jennifer Canary. She's the voice actor. I can't remember any specific character. Oh, she in Tidal Blades, she is the narrator for one. But I think she's also, she's a couple of the people in Frosthaven as well. I can't remember their names, but for very, very specific voices, it's so good to know those people ahead of time. People like, in here as well, Nathan, I see. Nathan has a very, very good voice for, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe he's Welsh. So that voice is so good for fantasy. Welsh accent is so good for fantasy. If you want something that sounds not like Scottish or Irish or English as is, the Welsh voice is perfect for fantasy as a narrator and as specific characters. So Nathan is, again, worked on many of projects with us, as a narrator for what is that game? Oh no! Oh gosh, oh God, forgive me, Nathan. Good Lord, not Daenerys. Oh yeah, I guess you did the narration for Daenerys. That's not the one I was thinking of. The other one where it was only you. There were no other characters in it. Yeah, forgive me. Thanks, Sky. It starts with a D. I'm gonna have to pull up the app. I don't remember. We didn't do Dark Castle, so I don't know. I don't know that one. Oh gosh. Check the resume. Maximum Apocalypse? Was that the one? You did. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did the narration for Maximum Apocalypse, right? I don't know why I thought it was started with a D. Anyway, not important. I apologize. But it's the fantasy version of that one, of Maximum Apocalypse, made by the same company. The Maximum Apocalypse. It's like Django. You just forget the D. But yeah, casting calls are so much fun. We try to incorporate as much of the character as possible. Something that is difficult for us, obviously, are NDAs. So it's hard to give enough context for a character for reading that script. But for the casting calls specifically, again, make sure you check all of our social media, our Discord, and your inbox. I don't want to say constantly because it's not super fair, but that's kind of what you need to do. If you're already doing that for work anyway as a voice actor, checking all those different casting call ways is really important. And outside of working with us, casting call club Discord is really good. Some of the pay to play websites, some of the pay to play websites like Voice123, those can be good. We have used those in the past too. It kind of depends on what we're looking for. But typically we'll try to run them internal because we have you guys, right? We don't really need to run on these massive platforms and paywall people from being able to audition for them. So we just run it ourselves. It's a lot more work, don't get me wrong, and we mess up a lot, but it's really fun to be able to call something your own. Yeah, I feel that. I feel that, Sky. But let's talk about auditions. On the left side with software and hardware, these are primarily for information for new voice actors. But on the right hand side, things to keep in mind, things that we want people to look out for when auditioning for us specifically. But so for software, on the software side of things, the three that I see the most are Audacity, Reaper, and Adobe Audition. Those are the ones that I recommend to people. For the first two, Audacity and Reaper have an unlimited free trial. I suppose they could cancel at any time, but for now, Audacity is super simple, easy to use, only a handful of buttons, but it allows for a good amount of modularity if you need that. And I think that's probably the most widely used DAW that voice actors use and other industries use overall. It's free. Then Reaper. Reaper's a one that I came into using about 2 years ago, and I still am not a master at it, but it is a lot more flexible. I like the way it works. It's not as cookie cutter, but it does take a little bit of learning to learn how to use. There's plenty of good courses. I even have a bookmark in my tab for optimizing Reaper. I'll get a link to these real quick for people who don't know what they are. So Audacity is this one. And then let me grab Reaper. And then the last one is, we'll talk about Audition. Personally, I don't use Audition. I have in the past, but it is just expensive. Unless you're doing a bunch of audio work all the time, or if you have the Adobe Creative Suite already, you may have it. It's perfect. It's perfect for voice acting. It is so good. It has a lot of features that Audacity and Reaper don't have, but again, that paywall is there. $23 a month or $270 a year. So it's kind of what you can afford or what you just like using. Sometimes you got to pay that little bit of extra cash because you really like the product. If it's what gets you wanting, if you dread voice acting because you don't want to do the editing part, or you don't want to work on your project because you don't like the software you're using, it sometimes is worth that extra $23. And that's kind of how I was with Audacity, where, oh man, I hate using this program. So I looked for another one and found Reaper. There are plenty of other software out there that allow you to do what you need to do, but as long as you can record your audio at a good quality and you're able to follow the instructions for submission, whether that's the right hertz and all the other stuff, as long as you're able to follow those instructions, yes, punch in, punch out, punch copy, punch paste, very helpful for putting the tone room, 100%. And we'll talk about room tone a little bit. Adam, the Sad Skull, when I first joined the company, when I was first trying to voice act here, he reached out. I found the guys at Gen Con, which is the biggest board game convention in the world, if not in the world, at least in the United States. And Adam, he said, "Hey, we don't need you to sound like you're talking like this and you're super in your mic all the time, because our product is used by people at their table, in their kitchen, or in their game room if they have one, bedroom, dorm room. So it's going to sound like they're in a room. So if you If you sound like you're in a room, that's fine. Obviously, we don't want a bunch of, air conditioner on, things like that, but we'll talk about that on the right-hand side. Wrapping up the tools section of Audition, though, of auditions, is hardware. To get started, personally, you can go one of two ways. Obviously, you probably need a computer. You can do it on your phone. Honestly, the iPhone, obviously you don't have to have an iPhone, but modern phones these days have okay mics. You can buy a USB mic or whatever. Like this camera came with one. It's $750, but I got that for other reasons. Just a mic that you can get somewhere quiet and record. The top two things are the Rode NT1. I think on Amazon right now that goes for about $159, but you can find it on sale for down to $100. The Rode NT1 XLR mic is fantastic. Pairing that with, I even use it, it's a little dusty, but I can't show it because it's tied in. But I have the Focusrite Scarlett Solo. I used a Behringer, I forget what it was called. But I used a number of different tools when I was first starting. But the Focusrite and the Rode NT1, I don't use the Rode NT1 myself, but I know plenty of people who do. It has a voice profile that is good for, in my opinion, kind of middle of the register. If you're super high-pitched voice doing very high-pitched characters, it's not perfect for you, but it works very well. Or if you're super low tone voice trying to do like big gruff men like this, sometimes you could lose a little bit in there, but it is a very good mic to get started. And I think that package comes with the shock mount and a usable pop filter. Yeah, exactly. Then lastly, on the bottom here, the Tascam, this is the Porta Capture. This is kind of like an interview mic that you would take somewhere if you don't have your computer on you. Adam wanted me to add this to the list yesterday, mainly because he said he's got he knows a lot of our folks use these, out in the middle of a field. If you have access to a field, you're not going to get a whole lot of reverb if you're just talking to a mic in the middle of the field and you cut out some birds chirping as you need. It's pretty good for that. And so it's about $250, and you just plug it in and you take it where you need to go, and it does your recording wherever you need to do it. If you're not able to use a laptop, or a problem I've run into is if I have a laptop or my big desktop here, sometimes your fans are just too loud. And so being able to record somewhere away from your setup is very helpful. I have a separate laptop I use when I do my recording because it's very quiet. Any questions on software and hardware before we move on? Secondhand, typically I don't buy secondhand technology, but a lot of times people buying secondhand voice acting stuff is really good because people are very passionate about it. Sweetwater is good too. I personally use a Rode podcast arm, and this is a Shure SM7B, really good for podcasts and the type of content that I do here at Forteller. But sometimes if I'm recording, I'll switch over. It's probably not the most graceful state, but sometimes I'll switch over to using, this is a Sterling ST151. This is like $150, I think, and it's very good room sound. You have to do a little bit more to it, to get it properly ready for submission, but it is really good for what it does. And then obviously the Shure SM7B. This was like $650, $700, I think. Or no, closer to $400. I think this was $400 when I got it. But it's fantastic. The only thing I don't like about this mic is it is so quiet. You have to crank your input gain, and you have to eat the mic a lot of the time. So that's something to know about this mic for sure. Yeah, I'd love to see your guys' suggestions for, your hardware, what you end up recording on, things like that. Using Sweetwater is fantastic. Sweetwater is a really good resource. Level 1, congratulations, Sky. Perfect. So while you guys are talking about your equipment in chat there, I'm going to move on to things to keep in mind for when you're doing your auditions. And we'll cover these in more detail when we have an auditions focused workshop. But Yeah, AJ, you told me that before. It made a lot of sense on why, because it is the shotgun style mic, so it's meant to be pointed directly at something. So I guess it's not directly that, but it's essentially it's very close. But so the first thing that I look for is I when I get an audition, when I'm submitting an audition, is script analysis. I need to read over the script and not just read the words, but understand the character as much as possible. I mentioned NDAs before, things like that. So sometimes we can't show off as much of the character's personality and the context that the situation for that character is in. But the script analysis is really important to know, okay, who is this person? What are they saying? And why are they saying it? Because it's tough to choose someone to be a character in a project like ours, especially if they're a reoccurring character, if you don't have I'm going to go ahead and turn this down just a little bit. If you don't have a good idea for what that character is in your mind. If you have questions on that, if it's a big casting call, sometimes we don't have the flexibility to provide all that all the time. We do our best to give a good description of the character, but if you need more further information, we'll try to do our best to explain it to you so that you can read that character. But we try to provide enough in the script that it lets you know how the character sounds in the situation that they're in, and if it's a reoccurring character, i.e. one with a big budget, if you see a character with a big budget, it probably means that they talk a lot. And you'll need to be able to do that voice for a long time. You'll need to make it you'll need to be able to replicate it if we need pickups, things like that. So script analysis we'll talk about more in auditions, but it's very, very, very important to read over your script, not just read the words, but understand who you're reading for. Next is the number of takes. Some people, we say this in the auditions themselves, in the submission forms, but some people send us like 8 or 9 takes. Or maybe they only send us 1 and it's, not perfect. I think the golden number that we look for is if you send me 2 really good takes, even if they're the same, cadence, the same thing, 2 is perfect. 3, I prefer 3 if you are giving me a variety of voices. Let's say you're doing one with a country accent, and you're going through here and you got to do all this stuff, and it's a Ford F-150. And then you change it for some reason. Now you're selling a Ford in the UK, and now you're selling me this car, and it's perfect for all the things that you'll need to do in your various blah, 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 blah. If you're going to do multiple different accents, different takes on the character, give me those number of takes. I don't need 3 or 4 takes of that voice necessarily, but it's hard to... when I have 500 auditions, if your audition is, 9 minutes long, God forbid, I might not listen to the whole thing. I'll just be honest with you. So the number of takes is really important. Following those instructions or putting it in the notes in your submission. Hey, I did 3 different kinds of characters, 2 takes each. Okay, then I know getting into it that I should at least jump to those points so I can hear that voice that you did for your audition. Because those different takes, the different voices are very important so that we know that you can do that character. But let's go ahead and head on. The submission format. While it is important for auditions, it's more important for specifically sending us the final audio. But the submission format, whether that's, don't just send me an email with your Dropbox link of here's my submission. If I gave instructions on how to use it, don't send me a Discord message. Put it in the Google Drive or email it to me directly or however we told you to do that. Unless something happens, if you say, oh my gosh, my cat exploded and took my computer with it, the only way I can send it to you is by texting it to you. Okay, I probably won't give you my number, but we'll figure it out. But do your best to follow the instructions as best as possible so that 1, you don't get skipped over for your audition, and 2, you have the best shot at being chosen because you fit in with everybody else. Right? Uh, I've had more than one cat explode. It's not a very clean endeavor. Don't know what's happening. I feed them their regular diet of dynamite and kibble, but next is accents. Talked about that just a second ago. Accents are important for obviously fantasy settings. Fantasy, we did Forsaken and Phantom Epoch, those space setting games as well. We need to sound otherworldly, sound like a demon, sound like that was my first audition for Adam at Gen Con. He goes, "Hey, I want to work with you guys. How do I submit my audition for you?" He just hands me a mic at the convention and goes, "Hey, give me your best demon voice." And I didn't freeze. I took him up on the opportunity, and I took the mic and in front of Gen Con, I went, "I'll rend flesh from bone, and I'll take you with me, blah, 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 blah. I'll explode your cat and take your computer." And I mean, it wasn't a fantastic off-the-cuff read, but it worked. You guys, yeah. I love Exploding Kittens. The company that did that, they put out a game, I think it was Exploding Kittens. They put out a game, God, it's like Little Wizards, where all the characters it's Exploding Kittens, I think is made by the same people who did Unstable Unicorns. And so that company made a game where you're a little wizard that you flip over the card and you're like your cute form or your like badass form. It's really cool. I got that at Gen Con, I think, last year. But any questions on kind of generalized auditions before we move on? Auditions for us, what we expect. Obviously, I'm sure this is not new to any of you guys. Even if you're new to voice acting, maybe the suggestions on the specific hardware. But auditions isn't the... It is the core of what we do, right? We get more auditions than we make products, probably. So it's important for us to give you guys the best shot at being chosen for those auditions. Yeah, there's so many good mics out there. There's so many good mics. I know people who have sent us submissions and just using like the wired Apple headphones. I'm not saying you should do that. Don't do that. But I know people that have, and they get picked because we know that they have a good mic. Maybe they're just out and about somewhere and they're, close to the deadline of submission, blah, 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 blah. Cool. I'll go ahead and move on. Next, we're going to talk about some audition examples. I have some that I'm going to show. Only, I believe, one of these people got the role. Maybe John did. I don't think John got the role for the character that he's playing. But I know Ginger didn't. But I loved her take on the character. So I want to show those off a little bit. And then Alexander Theo Harris, I'll give more information on why I chose his here in a second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show this in Discord. I'm just going to upload the file to our chat here, and you should be able to play it on your own. So first, we're going to listen to the John Kennard. This is for The Seer. So we don't have to listen to the whole thing, and so I don't think I have a way to play it here. Actually, I do. Let me do this, and then I can change my screen share, change the window to this. Sweet. So I'll change it back to our previously scheduled material here in just a second. But let me go ahead and put my headphones on so I can hear it, even though I know what it sounds like. Wizard hat gets in the way. I can't wear it with him. And here
Oh, visitors. How genuinely lovely. It has been so very long since anyone has come seeking wisdom. Years? Centuries? I can't quite remember. I was here before the ancients, before the mountains. I have seen everything since the dawn of life on this continent, and anything you could wish to ask, I could answer. There is a trial, though. Has to be a trial. Just the way it is. Do come in, and try not to die. Oh, visitors? How genuinely lovely! It has been so very long since anyone has come seeking wisdom. Years? Centuries? I can't quite remember. I was here before the ancients, you know, before the mountains. I have seen everything since the dawn of life on this continent, and anything you could wish to ask, I could answer. There is a trial, though. Has to be a trial, just the way it is. Do come in, and try not to die.
So, John Kennard, lovely gentleman. We just sent him some more scripts like yesterday. The reason I picked this script as one of the examples, let me cut back to the correct window. The reason I picked John as the example for this one is he does exactly what I said in the last page. He gave me 2 submissions. He gave me accents. Well, it's closer to his actual accent, I'm sure. But what he did, though, is do the same accent 2 different ways. First take, more subdued, more grumbly, and talking like this, and blah, 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 blah. Very, very good. Showed me that low, down to earth. And in the second one, he showed me basically how loud he can get without peaking his mic. Knowing that he can do that is so valuable to us. So I can make sure that if I send John a screaming character, he's going to send me good quality stuff back. John will get me that material every single time. It's going to be an interesting character read. Both takes he had were fantastic. The second character, it was the same character, same accent almost, but I mean, even the character sounded younger. The character to me sounded a little bit more approachable, a little bit more closer to like Shea Gorath from Skyrim. If you played that one, a little known title. But the first read was much more like the Great Deku Tree, something very stoic and all-knowing, ever-present kind of thing. I'm gonna raise my desk here real quick. Apologies. I need to stand. Definitely recommend a standing desk for auditions. If you don't have one, or a desk that's elevated at all to begin with, definitely recommend it to be able to project those sounds. Definitely when we do our auditions, our cold read-along stuff, we're going to 100% do I'm going to be doing the whole thing while I'm standing. I have a recording recently of Adam and I doing a cold read, the whole thing. It was a cold read for a couple characters, as well as a guided live direct for our Above and Below Haunted title that we're working on right now. And that reminds me, I have to finish recording those lines. Dang it. I'll do that after this. But yes, John Kennard, fantastic voice actor. And this is an example of, I don't know how to tell you a more perfect audition. Next is Ginger. Ginger is fantastic as well. Let's go ahead and take a listen to this character. This is, I believe, for the character, the wife of the merchant. Not all of our characters have a grandiose name like the Seer. Let me change over my presentation, and just to make sure you guys were able to hear these, right? You should be able to. I'll upload this one as well. So if you can't hear it in chat with me, you'll at least be able to hear it. You'll at least be able to listen to it on your own. And this one's much shorter because the character has less voice lines. But let's go ahead and take a listen to Ginger's husband-wife merchant.
This is awful. Our whole camp is still out there. Our Kivak won't be able to survive, and I left him leashed to the tent. Is there any chance you could... Oh, the tent. That was expensive. If you could help. And dinner. We left our dinner on the campfire. Actually, there's a couple other things, if you're already going out there. Wait, where's our son?
I love the wait. Where's our son? It's so good. But yeah, so this is the wife of the merchant, of course. She does a fantastic job of showing that urgency in her voice. But it's also like she's urgent about getting it taken care of, but also like busy because there's other stuff going on. The character read for this one was immaculate. That's why I chose this one as the example too, is because Ginger does a great job at understanding the character that they're reading for. One thing I'll add to this one, the you might have heard a word called Kivak. That is a fantasy character. It's a fantasy, like a pack animal. Not pack. What's the word? Like a beast of burden in this universe. So you'll oftentimes when reading for us, you will have some words that you may not know. We'll talk about that again more in a auditions focused workshop, but Kivak, there's so many, like Nathan, you've recorded for Tenaris, you know what's going on. Some of those words, man, fantasy worlds and sci-fi worlds make it tough. So if you don't know how to say a word one way or the other, ask or give it your best shot. Oftentimes, not a knock on our publishers, we don't even know a lot of times because they're still writing the content. They're changing the dragon names. Yep. Isenden, and then the black dragon. I forget his name, but yeah, that one was starts with a K, I think. That was tough. Yeah, but getting those names down correctly. Yeah, Algrar. Belragler Hasmuth. Yeah, reading those the right way. Getting it as close to as possible and staying in character while you're reading those, super wordy auditions is very important. And lastly, Alexander Theoharis. This is a great example of somebody who knows the character. Now, he has an advantage that you guys probably won't. Alexander Theoharis wrote this character. So I want to show an example of what it could sound like if you know the character well enough. Okay, so this is Alexander Theoharis reading for a character in Gloomhaven. All these were from the most recent casting call for Gloomhaven. Like I said, Alexander had a little bit of an advantage that you guys won't have because he wrote the character. He even reached out. We did a casting call for this, and then he reached out to me over email and said, "Hey, by the way, I wrote this character. Can I voice him?" And I was like, "Well, let me see what you got." So I didn't even give it to him automatically. I had to hear what he could do. But I knew Alexander was a voice actor, so I knew he'd be all right. But let me go ahead and share the screen so we can take a listen along. This will be our last example, and then we'll head on to the next section.
The Sin-Ra has set up shop inside this apothecary. They bring in bodies once a week, some of which are still moving. Nothing ever comes back out. Tonight, the Green Carapace will mete out justice, as deftly performed by you. Villainy! Lay down your arms or face the verdant light of the scarab!
So, very, very metered read, but I kind of have to trust him. He both hit all the notes that I was looking for in the character. Apologies. Both all the notes that I was looking for in the character when I read the script and typed up the audition script, and for the rest of the character that I knew that it was. So that was really easy for us to just pick him for that. His submission volume was a little low for me personally, but I think that's because he knew he was going to get loud. Controlling your volume, controlling your distance from your mic is important. Again, more talk about that in auditions later. But yeah. Working for us is all about knowing what you're getting into, one way or another. So, any questions on auditions before we move on? These are auditions working for us specifically, ways to find what we're covering, the kind of content that we're doing. I'll give you guys a quick, we probably only do, depending on the year, I think last year we did 6 or 7 casting calls last year. But we had some big ones last year. This year, I know we're going to have a couple more. I can't say, I don't think yet what it's going to be, but we do have a number of pretty large projects coming that we will be doing auditions for. Something that we have done in the past, we will do a large casting call for a game like Gloomhaven. Again, 500, 700 auditions came in. And then we will use that content, those auditions, to cast for another game. Especially if that game is either in a similar universe, if they're both fantasy games, or if they're both space games, or if even the characters are kind of similar. We will use the same auditions, not obviously for the same voice, but I've definitely left notes on someone's take before. I said, oh, I like this. Maybe it's for this other game, though. And so maybe some of you guys have gotten an email from us saying, oh, hey, I like what you did for this character for this other game that you did a year ago. But we're not going to use that for this game. We're going to use it for a game we have coming up. So even if you don't get a gig from us right away, as long as you've made that connection to us, you've made it stand out in one way or another, it is more likely that you will be remembered when we go to cast a game at a later time. Then moving on to, I believe, my last page here. These are marketing yourself. Now, this is a hotly debated topic, hotly debated topic in the industry. It's tough. We've worked with 3 of these people. I don't know if we've worked with Arcane Anthems yet, but we've spoken to them a number of times. You need to be able to market yourself in this industry. What I mean by that, you need to have a place that you promote your own content. You will get work, I'm sure. You'll definitely get work for a number of products if people know what you sound like. That's perfectly fine. But as a social media guy who is also working in casting, if I see that you have a decent sized following, or at least people interact with you on your social media, and you have to be a good voice actor first. But if you have good quality content in your submissions and all these things, you're fun to work with, that kind of stuff, it makes it even more likely that I'll pick you. I won't pick someone because they have marketing over somebody who is a better voice actor. I won't do it. It's not, the product deserves better than that. Just because that person has a larger market pool, it doesn't make sense to me. I'd rather the product sound better. But if we have equal caliber voice actors, sorry, if I have equal caliber voice actors, but one of them has a larger following, I might lean towards that person because I know that if I post about our game and that this person is a major character in the game, they're going to promote it themselves, which will draw more eyes to our product, and more people will purchase it. That's the kind of the business element that we look at a little bit. So some examples of people who do this very well. Christopher Test. It's not Tesser. It's Christopher Tester. I apologize. Christopher Tester does very good content on TikTok. I'm sure all these people post on TikTok, but I chose them specifically for their content on specific platforms. Arcane Anthems as well, very, very good content on TikTok too, but I appreciate his work on Instagram more. But Christopher Tester, I can't tell you who he is yet in one of our products, but he is in Gloomhaven. We reached out to him specifically. I sought him out because I knew him from a couple of roles previously. I believe he was Scorpion Man Tark in Dark Souls 2, which was a fun game I played back in the day. But he also does very good content on TikTok where he does these fantastic reads for, I'm going to talk about Warhammer more here in a minute, but he does Warhammer stuff where he does like the orc voices. He does, especially when the 40K video game came out, he did a bunch of line reads from characters in that where he kind of redid them in his own way. Really emotional reads. He does very well. He has a very, very smooth, like British accent, and it works very good for those slower, more impactful moments that then build up to a big, massive reveal, which does amazing on TikTok always. So yes, Christopher Tester is an amazing example of someone who is a great voice actor and does good content on social media, promoting themselves so that he gets chosen for roles. Next is Chaotic Voices. I don't think I can say the name of this person, but we use them in a lot of content. Definitely check out Chaotic Voices on YouTube. It's primarily a little short Warhammer 40k content, talking about really funny scenarios where they find a comic and he voices the interactions. And it's not he doesn't have a massive following, but it's enough to where people, I know that if I post about something that this person's in it, that they'll be able to promote it, and showing off on their own content that they do good work. It's like having a massive demo library, where a bunch of people can see it and it's easier to go to than just going to your website. I'm not saying don't have a website. Those are invaluable. You have to have a website with demos and your links to all of your socials if you use them, because it makes it easier for somebody like me or somebody else in casting to check and see what you do, who are you, you said have you said some horrid things on X back in the day? Unfortunately, that's the way it goes. Sometimes you have to check that stuff. Next is Arcane Anthems. Weston, he does really good singing content on Instagram and TikTok. I'm sure he does post on the other places too, but he's a pretty big name in the tabletop RPG world, which we're kind of adjacent to. I don't think we've worked with him specifically on any of our projects, but I know the name and we've talked about him a number of times where we said, okay, if a project comes up that we can work with him on, we're interested in it. And that's because the quality of his content. We've spoken to him a number of times at conventions, and it's always like, hey, when the opportunity arises, we'd love to work with you. He has a pretty good following. He's a nice person, just altogether exactly what I expect of somebody to market themselves to be memorable so that they get picked for content for roles in the future. Like I said, I didn't just throw roles at him because he has a big following. We were looking for the right opportunity. So if him and somebody else come up to us and both have a rock and roll voice for a character that needs to be able to sing and voice something, I don't even know that he's a voice actor primarily at all, but I may pick him for that because I know what he can do. And then lastly, the wonderful Rhiannon Mauschel. Fantastic human being. Great, amazing catalog. Gets us that content at an immaculate level every single time. Great turnaround. Also, a really decent following on all of the social media, talking about, hey, this is her journey. Here's some suggestions. Hey, voice actors, what are you doing on Blue Sky? She posts on Instagram and other places as well. But Rhiannon is fantastic. If you want, I cannot think of a better example of someone who promotes themselves better than Rhiannon on Blue Sky. Now, again, I want to reiterate again, I'm not telling you have to be some massive influencer to get voice acting roles. That is not the case. Simply that you promote yourself on your own social media platform of choice. If you're a streamer on Twitch, we've worked with Dylan Duck recently, who goes by Crash Star VA on Twitch. I didn't put him on here because I just thought about it, but that's a perfect example of somebody who found their niche. He's like a VTuber sometimes, but also just a voice actor in general, separating his content. But I know that he can do it because he talks about it on his channel. So when we send off an audition and we say, hey, where can we find you? As in addition to where the content that you're posting, that's really important to us. Because I can say, okay, from a marketing standpoint, I talked about Kinfire earlier. We didn't have the contact for him, but the publishers did. We worked with Sungwon Cho, ProZD, for he's not the narrator. He's like the guild master in Kinfire Chronicles Night's Fall. And that was a no-brainer. We had the contact through the publisher. They were friends of his, and he was super willing to work on the project. Pretty good voice actor, good quality content on his own, and obviously pretty big name in the social media space for like little skit fantasy content, video game things. Just he's been around. People follow him. It was a no-brainer. We had the content. We had the reason to work with him, so it worked out. Not saying you won't get picked if you don't have these. I'd say we pick more often than not people who we don't even know if they post on social media at all. But if you do post somewhere and you have any sort of following at all, even, it could be a couple hundred people. It doesn't have to be a massive amount. But just knowing that you are taking your role as a voice actor seriously and promoting yourself goes a long way in showing us the professionalism that we want to be able to work with you. Starting off and new as a voice actor, I am not doing great at this personally, but I started off on TikTok where I said, okay, here's my journey to be a voice actor. I'm setting up my a closet with all my sound foam. I did one where I was talking about how hard it was to read scripts. I talked about my first paid gig that I got. I talked about the first time I was in a studio rather than like recording from home. There's so many things that you can just show off on your own that are unique to you, but people will still want to watch. Using proper hashtags like hashtag voice actor, hashtag VA, hashtag recording, hashtag character script. There's so many things you can do. We may have a specific marketing yourself. I'm losing my mind. Apologies, guys. A specific marketing yourself workshop in the future to kind of help with that. But this is one of those things where it's hard to give you direct actionable items on because it's kind of it's so unique to you. It's the kind of content that you find yourself wanting to make. There are good things you can do, like I said, hashtags, posting, on multiple stream avenues or multiple sites, so you get as many eyes as possible. Social media is not my area of expertise. I'm still learning, right? And that's perfectly fine. You don't need to be an expert to be able to do this. You just need to be you. And as long as you are you in a way that people appreciate, you'll find that audience. So, market yourself in addition to auditioning. Any questions on marketing yourself and why it's important? I tried to give it as much. Yeah, the social media paper trail for sure. Jerry knows Rhiannon. My last page here is just talking about questions. So we'll chat here for a little bit as well. We've only been going on just now over an hour. I'm just learning how to market via social media. It's hard promoting oneself without sounding egotistical. It really is. The thing I look at when I'm trying to promote myself is I'm not telling people, hey, hire me, buy my stuff, work with me. I'm just showing off what I can do. And and I'm wanting it to be interesting. Yeah. It's all about the words you use and how you say it, how often you post. It's the cadence that you post about. Hey, I'm working on this project, or versus, hey, I'm willing to do auditions, right? If every post is, I'm looking for work, that doesn't bode well. If you're constantly saying that you're looking for work, it means you're not getting work. And as a casting director, sometimes I'm like, okay, well, why aren't they getting work, right? But if it's, you post more often like, hey, here's even an audition I did. And Jackie, I quite enjoy learning, leaning into the egotism. I'm a VA. I specialize in emotional characters with strong emotions. I'm awesome. But just no, that's your brand. If that's a way that you find comfortable to be able to promote yourself, that's perfectly fine. It works for a number of people I know. If you own it, you say, yes, I am a great character voice actor. If you are comfortable doing that, 100% do it. If you are able to back that up with quality voice work and professionalism, own it. You need to stand out from the crowd. If you are meek, even if you're a good voice actor, I may not trust that. I'm not saying don't be proud and confident in your work when I'm telling Jerry to not be, not sounding egotistical, but it's about what you say and how comfortable you are. You can't back it up, Jackie. That's funny. That's funny. Apologies, my throat. I need to go make my warm tea at some point. Which is actually a good excuse to take a quick little break here, guys. I know we've been going on for just over about an hour and 10 minutes now. So we'll go ahead and take a little break here. And when we come back, I may invite you guys up to the presentation with me, and we'll go over some script analysis maybe, and do a couple of cold reads here at the end there, give some suggestions, things like that, and I'll even read some of my own with you and tell you how I go through reading for one of our products. So yeah, we'll take a quick break here, probably come back, we'll say in about 5 minutes. At my time would be 2:26. We'll call it 2:27. So I'll be back here in just a little bit, guys. Let me pull up. We're going to start with Bandit 2, and then we'll go into the Guard, then Demon 2, Demon 1 and Demon 2 and Demon 3. It's all in one script, and then Emirian, which is a more character-focused role. So, Randy, I'm trans woman born with a bassier voice and just started voice training for that. Would it be inappropriate to still send auditions for male-presented characters? No, not at all. I don't want to out anybody, but that's definitely something we've done in the past. Definitely brought people on for both more androgynous sounding characters who are trans in the content specifically, as well as just normal character roles. Like if it's just Bandit 2, for example, you know, if your voice fits the role, I don't care what you call yourself. Again, unless I'm specifically casting for someone that I need to sound a certain way, of course. So, you know what? Because you were so excited for Bandit 2, Jackie, if you would like to, I'd love to invite you up here to read for Bandit 1 or Bandit 2 with me, if you're around. I want the demons up. Perfect, Lawrence. Yeah, I know you said you had a more, like, kind of gruff voice, so I'd love to hear it. So you should have the invite. Hello, welcome. So I have Bandit 1 and 2 here. Let me go ahead and pull up the screen, and then let me change my display capture on my camera. Why is it not working? Just for the recording for our folks who weren't able to make it. Why is it not working? How's your day been going? Yeah.
I'm in my final year of uni, so it's a lot of just sort of knuckling down and trying to get stuff done.
Hey, gotta do what you gotta do. Yeah.
But, you know, always got time for this.
Perfect. Yeah, I tried to pick a time that was earlier, so I thought 2 to 4 would be good for, all around the world, and I was wrong. It should have been noon, apparently.
That's fine. It's like 7:30 for me, so it's not too bad.
Perfect. All right, so here is the script right here. I'll zoom in a little bit for everybody as well. This is Bandit 1 and 2, and then Miguel and Jesse. Miguel and Jesse are some of the player characters. Bandit 1 and 2 are the people who they are attacking, obviously. This is specifically the script for Bandit 2. You can see that they're highlighted there. So do you want to do this cold, or do you want to read the script first?
Yeah, I'm good with either. Do we have time to read first? I'm happy to do cold if...
Yeah, of course. We'll do a quick read over then. We have plenty of time. Well, we should be able to get through all 4 of these. I don't have a time. I have to be out of here, but I don't want to take more than anybody else's time. So they don't need to expect to be here if they don't want to be. So Bandit 1 says the boss is planning something huge. There are orders to break into the Trucium's vault. And then the narrator comes in and says, a bandit with braided red hair slaps the table.
Mad. Suicide, if you ask me.
Yep. Perfect read. Boss is mad. You gave a good pause after there. The only thing I would say is maybe the exclamation point at the end of mad there.
Yes.
Because the boss is mad. It's suicide, if you ask me.
Boss is mad. That's suicide, if you ask me.
Yeah, exactly. You're just exasperated. Can't believe it. Bandit 1 says, he says there's a secret passage into the vault. They just found it. It's on the north side of the king's palace, behind the broken iron pipe. Deciding not to press your luck, you creep out in front of the cave before the bandits catch you. Miguel and Jesse get caught, basically, and then both Bandit 1 and 2 at the same time. The way we would do this in the recording is we would have both of Bandit 1 and 2 actors record for this, and then we'd cut it up, however, or have them both say it at the same time, kind of depending on how we want the scene to sound. But give me your best intruders.
Intruders! Spies! Kill them!
Perfect. Give me one more where you're a little bit more surprised and then resolute at the end, like, do it, kill them.
Intruders! Spies! Kill them!
Nice. And then give me one more, same intonation, everything, faster. Less pause between the takes.
Intruders! Spies! Kill them!
Very good. So, watch it. We're going to go back through and we're going to do Bandit 1 as well. Because it's a little bit of a longer take, so you can play with it a little bit more. So, Bandit with red hair, except stable. The boss is mad. Ugh, it's suicide, if you ask me.
He says that the secret... Sorry, I'm trying again.
You're good.
He says that the secret passage into the vault, they just found it. It's on the north side of the king's palace, behind the broken iron pipe.
Interesting. I like what you did there. You added the... I love adding and like pauses to voice work.
I always think it makes it sound more natural.
It does.
I always sort of notice when voice work doesn't have the pauses, because it sort of feels like it's...
Mm-hmm. It feels like a commercial versus a character, somebody in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We're going to do that one more time with more, not quite angry, but you're both agreeing that the boss is not happy with the way things are going. Sorry, one sec. Yeah, Chris says, when you're prepared to cast, how will that process go? Is that you're asking when we at Forteller are prepared to cast, Chris? Just making sure. Yeah, so we have it recorded earlier on. We went over casting. That one is a number of different ways. Check here in Discord, check our casting email, and then check our social media. When we have a game that's coming out, we'll usually say, hey, we're going to be casting for this soon, and then a big post talking that we are casting for it. Those are the main ways that we do casting. Or we'll reach out to you specifically and says, oh, we love Chris's voice when he did XYZ. We pick him for another role. You might get a personal message or email or whatever. But yeah, so with Bandit 1 here, Jackie, Bandit 1 is, it reads to me that Bandit 1 may be like a higher rank, almost, because he's the one with the information.
Hence why he's Bandit 1, not Bandit 2.
Exactly. So give me a little bit more. Bandit 2 is like the younger guy. He's upset. He's big, hot head. Bandit 1 may be a little bit older. Bandit 1 has more experience. So give it to me as if the character is more instructional rather than emotional. But definitely knows what they're talking about, because when you read for Behind the Broken Pipe last time, it almost sounded like, oh yeah, you know that part over there. Not less of that, more like, oh, the broken iron pipe, that one, right?
The broken iron pipe that we all know exists.
Exactly. The boss is mad. That's suicide, if you ask me.
He says there's a secret passage into the vault. They just found it. It's on the north side of the king's palace, behind the broken iron pipe.
Very good. Very good. Applaud around. Yeah, but yes, Bandit 1 and 2, Guard 1 and 2, Demon 1 and 2, those are the roles that you get paid for, everybody. Those are the ones that are easiest to get into because there's not usually a ton of lines. You get to play with it because they're usually very... bandits are going to be the ones yelling, intruders, spies, kill them! While the guards are going to be more reserved. But guards typically have very brutal death scenes. Or they're boring. Just as boring as it can be. They're either guards who have like, big crazy voice cracks and stuff you have to do, or it's just, thank you, welcome to the city, go over there. It's one or the other. So yeah, Jackie, thank you so much for reading for the bandit. So we're going to get into guard. This guard doesn't have a ton of lines at the beginning, but he talks more at the end. So this one's a pretty long script. We're not going to go over the whole thing, but we're going to jump around to the parts where the guard talks. So who'd like to read for the guard? So this is a city guard, and it looks like shocked and dismay covered the rebels' faces as you call for the guards. One of them drops a crate, letting it crash, spilling hairy roots and bright vegetables like a cornucopia. Another connects with a left hook and trips out the door. As the city guard storms in, the rebels dash into the alleyway. You stand on the side of order, says the guard. The old man thanks you. So this is an older guy, so we're reading our script ahead of time. Awesome. Yeah, go ahead. If you guys would like to join, if you'd like to read for this one, you can use that raise hand icon to request to speak, and then I can invite you into chat. So whoever would like to, you don't have to say it in the chat. You can just raise your hand, and if nobody else joins, you will be the one that gets picked. Wish I could, nearly 4 a.m. You're telling me you can't yell and be an old man at 4 a.m., Sky? Come on. Is it Tanela or Tanea? I'll bring you in to speak. I think I invited you. Did it work? There we go. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You are muted, just letting you know. There's a little mic icon at the bottom of the screen. You know, voice actors, we don't know how to use mics at all. You saw me fumble around with mine earlier.
Yeah, found it. Sorry. That option wasn't there earlier. I apologize.
It doesn't show up when you're a listener, specifically. It only shows up when you're invited to speak, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Welcome.
I apologize. I'm not really an old man.
No worries. It doesn't have. We can read it either way. So less of like you don't have to sound like an old man, but give it the tone that you are more like almost like righteous, like a paladin person, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That one should be able to, without sounding old, still give you the more like, yes, I'm on the side of good, that kind of tone.
Fair enough.
Cool. So we'll read through this one real quick. I'll give you the narration on this one, and then we'll get into ones further down that has a little bit more fun to read for. Right? Kind of give you the idea. So, another connects with a left hook and trips out the door. As the city guard storms in, the rebels dash into the alleyway.
You stand on the side of order,
Says the guard. The person thanks you and gives you a strange rock. So this one, you gave that like big resolute read on that one. That sounds like a call out that like a hero would make. Remember, we're a guard, so we have to. It's thanking the person. So less of, yes, you stand on the side of order. It's just like more thankful that they were able to come over. It's like, yes, you stand on the side of order.
Okay.
If that made sense, I can give you more explanation if you need that.
I don't really understand what's happening in the scene, I guess.
Yeah. So the heroes are fighting some bandits.
Okay.
The bandits drop a crate, and one hits one of the heroes. And then the bandits are running away, or the rebels specifically. The rebels are running away, and the guard comes up, dashes up to you, and then thanks you for trying to stop the rebels. That's pretty much what's happening right here.
Okay.
Cool. So another connects with a left hook and trips out the door. As the city guard storms in, the rebels dash into an alleyway.
You stand on the side of order.
Very good. Yeah, so it's more, thank you. So I would even say, since the city guard storms in, they could even be short of breath. So give it a little bit more breathy. It doesn't have to be a big, like, overweight person, but, yes, thank you. You stand on the side of order.
Tasting them.
Yeah, it could have been.
Armor's heavy, let's be real.
Yeah. I mean, they stormed in. They could have been running. You called for the guards. They could have been anywhere over the city.
Sure.
But yeah, give me one more with you standing on the side of order, a little more exasperated.
Okay.
As the city guard storms in, the rebels dash into an alleyway.
You stand on the side of order.
Nice, very good. So you're still thankful, but you're also giving it that element of, oh yes, I needed your help. Thank you so much. That kind of thing. Very, very good.
Thank you.
I'll be reserved to not put up my hand for every roll. To be fair, there's something oddly funny about being a wizened old man and your voice coming out of them. Would it be worth trying to take where the guard is a little surprised that the player called them? Almost, you stand on the side of order? Not quite a question, but in this scene, without obviously you don't know everything about the game, right? The following lines, because you have the option to join the guards in the city or join the rebels. So the guard the guard could be surprised, but given what happened here with the rebels attacking you, it's pretty evident that the guard knows that you're not with them, so they wouldn't be surprised, if that makes sense, Jackie. Then we'll come down to. So the guards are not, not good people. They're just kind of doing their job, because you can see here, this one is one of the guards throw down dice, sending them tumbling into the crack in the street. Pay up or we'll arrest you. So we're not going to read that one. We're going to go to 40.8. The guards accept your totem. We don't want to see you around here again. They say. A favor, one guard says, smiling. We'll need help taking out the rebel hideout. Those scum hide in the abandoned parts of the city. Some narration. Bust in there, take them out. We'll arrest any after they surrender. Says the guard, and another guard chuckles. So these guys they're guards for what a lot of people see as a tyrannical ruler. So you're kind of like a stormtrooper, almost, if you want to think about it, kind of like that.
Okay.
So we're going to say, we're going to start here at the beginning of 40.8, okay?
Okay.
The guards accept your totem,
We don't want to see you around here again.
they say,
A favor?
says one of the guards, smiling.
We need help taking out a local rebel hideout. Those scum hide in the abandoned parts of the city.
The husks of dead pipes and half-rusted into oblivion line the empty streets as the guards lead you north. Turning into an alleyway, you navigate broken cobblestones and collapsed walls until you see strands of light escaping a barred window.
Bust in there and take them out. We'll arrest any after they surrender.
Says the guard. The other guards chuckle. So with this one, I like the tone that you gave. I like just do it. Mm-hmm. It was very, very good. The thing I would say for the second part of 40.10, though we need help. This is like a favor. The guard's smiling. Then they get the idea that they can coerce the heroes into doing it. Oh, smiling like, I see what I can do here. So give me a little like coy almost at the I can take advantage of these people kind of thing.
Okay.
So a favor, says one of the guards, smiling.
We need help taking out a rebel hideout. Those scum hide in the abandoned parts of the city.
I like the second part. The first part, draw it out a little bit. Like you're still coming to the idea of what you want the heroes to do as you say, like, we need help taking out a rebel hideout. Something like that.
Okay.
So says one of the guards, smiling.
We need help taking out a rebel hideout. Those scum hide in the abandoned parts of the city.
Very good. The one thing I would add to that is be a little bit more like you're spitting on the ground almost. Don't actually spit on you don't have to do that, but like you're like spitting out the words, those scum, something like that.
Okay.
So says the guard, smiling.
We need help taking out a rebel hideout. Those scum hide in the abandoned parts of the city.
Perfect. That's exactly what I'd want out of this character. You're like, honestly, like when I forgive my language, but I shit you not, when I saw guards like this and I read them when we were casting for this initially, my brain always went to stormtroopers. Rebel scum! Like super... Yeah. and they're like taking advantage of people. It was a lot of fun to see this character more than just like your stoic, like nice guard people. These are ones like, again, I went back to Skyrim, but the Riften guards trying to extort you before they'll let you into the city in Skyrim.
Right. No, they're not exactly the most morally upright of people.
Yeah. And then we'll do that last line of this one more time with that same tone of, this is what you're going to do for me.
Okay.
So, turning into an alleyway, you navigate broken cobblestones and collapsed walls until you see strands of light escaping a barred window.
Bust in there and take them out. We'll arrest any after they surrender.
Says the guards, and the other guards chuckle. Perfect. Very good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Jackie, I don't know that that's ever confirmed. I could be wrong. I don't think that they're part of the Thieves Guild. I think they're just the Driftin's kind of like a nest of rats as is, as they have the rat way. But I'm not as knowledgeable of the Elder Scrolls as I would like to be. Perfect. Thank you for joining me today. Again, I didn't actually get how I'm supposed to pronounce your name in Discord.
You know, I don't really know. It was just a character name from an old MMORPG. I think we used to pronounce it Tanala, but...
Tanala? Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Close
perfect. Enough. Tanala, Tanela, Tanea, Tamara.
Whatever. I probably answered all of them, so...
It's a perfect example of fantasy names and not knowing how to pronounce them.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. And then we'll get on to the next roll here. How do I'm trying to figure out how to... I don't want to move to audience. There we go. I was like, where's the button? From the wiki, on your first visit to Riften, one will ask you to pay a toll. He has later revealed to be the man of a member of the Thieves Guild. This payment can be avoided by persuasion or intimidation. Interesting. I don't remember. Is it? Did one of the Thieves Guild just tell you he is? This is off topic. I apologize, guys, but I'm interested now. Do they tell you, or do you see him down in the hideout? I'm curious. That makes sense. I just didn't know. But we're going to move on while we're doing our Elder Scrolls studying to Demon 2. This is Demon 1, 2, and 3. Lawrence, yep, 100%. I think you mentioned it to Brynjolf, and he apologized, saying something that he smelled gold and got greedy. Interesting. That makes sense. Oh, yeah, if you're talking to Brynjolf about it, because he's the guy who gets you into the one as you plant the ring, I'm pretty sure. Lawrence, welcome.
Welcome. It's actually nice to speak with you as well.
Yeah, thank you. It's good to talk to people after me just speaking into the void for an hour. Mm-hmm.
No, but it's been very interesting for the things on the other side of it, because it's always interesting to see, because especially you're doing something that most people haven't done before, and you're bringing it in. That's one of the cool things I like about Forteller.
Thank you. Yeah, we try to do something a little bit unique in all things, and whether it's audio with music and AJ making some just badass tracks, or Adam just throwing some weird effects on people's voices. Sometimes I don't even realize that it's me speaking sometimes because of the different characters that I've played. One of my first roles was in Gloomhaven, or in Frosthaven, sorry. And they have a race in that game called the Savas, and they're like a bunch of like sort of like almost stone elemental people. So they're like made of rocks, so their voice is super gravelly. And so obviously I tried to do a gravelly voice, and he talks like this, he throw the crystal back into the ground. And then Adam says, no, give me the normal read with the same accent. And then he played it back for me with the modulation afterward, and I was like, holy crap. I had no idea you could do that kind of stuff. So definitely in the future, and I've talked to AJ about this before, I want to do another workshop showing the editing side of things, like what goes into like editing your work for doing your own like finalized productions, your own effects, exactly.
Yeah, like I said, I'm an extreme, so one of the things that I can do is actually apply things onto my own voice without any effects to post processing.
Nice. Yeah, there's a voice actor. I don't remember his name, but the voice actor for Fiddlesticks in League of Legends um, does like that inhaling kind of voice. What was
It's
that?
Kellen.
Oh
Kellen
yeah,
Yap.
it's Kellen. Yeah, Kellen does some crazy stuff. Fear, run, little girl. That kind of stuff. It's terrible. It will shred your voice if you do that. So I'm not gonna do it
See,
anymore.
that's why. Yeah, the trick is that's why, because I'm an extreme. When people say I couldn't do stuff like that, I'm always no, no. It's always about the connection that you bring. Some people like me happen to be specialized in certain things, but it's like you got to know what will actually be safe for you to do
Yeah.
without destroying yourself.
Yeah, I came before I started voice acting. I'm a musician as well, and so when I was learning, I can't sing very well, but when I was learning to sing hard rock and metal and stuff like that, one of the big things was don't push your voice too hard until you know how to do it safely. That's a big thing with doing character voices too. Is I could do a voice like this, and then I would just be shredded for the rest of the day. Especially if you have
Yeah.
a bunch of characters in a row. Um, you want to do that voice last.
Yeah, the hardest part is actually trying to switch between them if they're like different extremes and
Right.
stuff like that. But it's more like line by line switching as opposed to doing it in a sequence kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, giving yourself that room to breathe, some recovery time after a voice like that is really good. Pushing is bad, and if you shred yourself that way, you could be damaging your vocal cords. Exactly. Yeah, if you do that the wrong way, you could. I mean, Adam told me as well because he regrets doing that. He did a bunch of like screamo, that kind of style music, and he can't do like your standard hero, like young guy anime protagonist kind of voice so much anymore, because his voice just has too much gravel in it at this point, and so he's kind of reluctant that he was not able to do that anymore. Sorry, let me catch up on chat here, Lawrence. You feel free to read over the script here. This guy says so good, Fiddle Supremacy, 100%. The voice lines are so much fun. The lore behind that character, it's like a demonic. For anybody who doesn't know, it's a demon. Uh, 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 oh God, it's a demon scarecrow that takes the form of like fear, like a really fun character. And it's like uh, the Bumblebee from it's like Bumblebee from Transformers, the movies where he has like a voice box that can or a kinku in D&D, always like repeats things that were said while he's killing people specifically.
yeah, those are fun.
Or witnessed people that having horrible things. Like there's a character Annie who killed her parents on accident when she developed her fire powers, and so when he's haunting Annie, he says the lines that her parents said to her while she was accidentally killing them. It's terrifying.
Yeah, yeah.
Jackie says, so the guard at the North Gate was, yep, we're talking about more about Skyrim. He got greedy. He was told to run the scale on the merchants, but he smelled the gold on you, and now judgment out the window. And then his dynamic dialogue for you killed the guy. Interesting. Huh. Thank you. I didn't know that. I haven't done the Thieves Guild quest in forever. I think I've only done it 2 or 3 times. Pushing is bad. Yep. I auditioned for a monster. I did the whole audition breathing in. 1 bout of COVID now, and I can't do that voice. Yep. COVID ruined a lot of voice actors. It's really scary how bad that one, and like bird flu lately too. I've heard that one has been not great for voice actors too. Gotta take care of yourself.
Norovirus.
Yep.
Yeah, there's depending on where you are, mask up where you can do stuff, and you use a mask protector on it. So I'm guessing a couple cons, so I have to make sure do things safely and right. It's like near somebody's like they're coughing pretty bad. It's like I'm going to stay over here today, John.
Yeah. We went to a convention with Brooke Chalmers, who's a voice director for Genshin Impact, and he was talking about that.
Brooke.
Brooke's great.
Yeah.
I love him. I met him.
I call him Admiral Chalmers.
Admiral Chalmers, yeah, because
it's a Star Trek thing. Because you know how much he loves Trek.
Oh yeah, and he's the voice director for one of the animated Star Treks. Prodigy, yeah.
Yeah, Let's hope we get a season 3, but you never know how Netflix is going to do things.
Yeah,
So-
never know. I don't.
or any of them. It's like, wait, this show actually came out.
Randy says, so where do you learn the correct ways? See, that's tough. That's where you get a voice coach, 100%, or workshop like these. It's tough to do without seeing the person face to face, I'll say, because you need to see how people are positioning their mouth, the tone of their voice, how it reverberates in the room, what they're doing with their throat, like where their Adam's apple, or how they're shaping the sound. That's a lot about what it is and where you're pushing the sound from. It's really hard to do online. So getting a voice coach and meeting with people as much in person to do this as possible. That's where I would recommend, especially if you're new to the industry. I always tell people, get a voice coach, somebody who's going to give it to you straight, somebody who won't just tell you what you want to hear so they can get your money. If I would rather somebody tell me, no, you can't do this, and give me the good reason why, and then point me in the right direction of what I can do, rather than somebody who wants to just tell me what I want to hear. So I apologize, Lawrence. Let's get into your read here. So there's
no, you're making sure people aren't taken in by the, convincing demons, not the ones that are going to tear you apart piece by piece.
100%.
Which is what we're doing.
Yes, these demons are going to tear you apart. So see some backstory on these characters. These are 3 demons who are trapped in a crystal that the character has been carrying around for a long time. The main character, Claire, she found this crystal, and the demons basically said, "Hey, if you don't feed us, we're going to do some nasty stuff." So she says, "Okay, we got some stuff for you now." I don't exactly. Yeah. So Jesse then later says, "Eat these bears." So they're kind of using the demons as a way to save them from some bears that are attacking them, but also feed the demons themselves too.
I still want to have a line from Scanlon making a commentary on something.
So we're going to go into the first line here. You throw the black crystal on the ground. Demons, we found you some food to eat. The crystal trembles.
We found you some food to eat.
Yeah, this is actually the main character, Claire. I don't know why that one's highlighted for the script. I apologize. We're going to pick up with Demon 1 right here. The crystals tremble and shatter as black smoke forms into 3 smiling demons.
Where is the food?
Says one of the demons.
Yes, I'm hungry. We've waited too long.
Says another. Very good, very good. Jesse, eat these bears quickly! Jesse screams. She screams, Jesse, as the bears surround you.
Delicious.
Says one of the demons. The demons dive into the bears, gobbling each one in one gulp.
Yeah, we are satisfied for now. We will wait here for unwary travelers. Now leave us before we eat you as well.
Very fun. Very fun. What I would say is obviously we'd probably do different actors for each of these demons. But let's try to do a more varied sound for each of the demons, if you can modify that voice. So Demon 1, he is the one who's usually speaking to the characters throughout the game. So he's got a much more like air of importance to him, but he's still imposing. Demon 2 is just as ravenous and bestial, very animalistic. And then Demon 3 is, I don't want to say childish, but Demon 3 is a little bit more reserved, but impulsive.
Okay, let's see what we can do with this.
Okay, so Demon 1, the crystal trembles and shatters as black smoke forms into 3 smiling demons.
Where is the food?
Nice, nice.
Yes, I am hungry. We've waited too long.
Nice, yeah, big emphasis on those exclamation points. Give me that one more time.
Yes, I'm hungry. We've waited too long.
Give me one more with the shorter or elongate the hungry and shorten the we've waited too long.
Yes, I'm hungry. We've waited too long.
Perfect. That's exactly what I would want out of this read. Because he's like, the important part is that he's super just famished and he needs to get to it, but that's the important part to him. That growl is terrifying. Yes, exactly. Eat these bears quickly, screams Jesse as the bears surround you.
Now, what would you like for 3? You want to
Yeah.
get a little more reserved?
Reserved, but like, give me reserved, but threatening.
They look delicious. Ah, we are satisfied. For now, we will wait here for unwary travelers. Now leave us before we eat you as well.
I like the tone. I like everything. We're going to do that last sentence. Now leave us before we eat you as well. Give me, like they're done with them, like they're shooing them away, and then a threat at the end.
Now leave us before we eat you as well.
Less anger before we eat you as well. More like the implied threat, even though it's not implied. Read it like it's implied.
Now leave us before we eat you as well.
Good. That's exactly what I would want. Because it's expected that the demons will eat them anyway, but the demons like forcing themselves to say it even though it. Now leave us before we eat you as well. Yeah, very, very good. I love those takes. Thank you so much, Lawrence.
Well, of course.
What demons have you been before? You sound like you're very comfortable with this voice, so I'm curious.
Well, I'm in Dragonair Silent Gods. I'm actually one of the main characters alongside Matt Mercer, Kira Buckland, and Dragonair Silent Gods. I'm in a couple of other things that I'm waiting to be released on.
Awesome.
And it's basically doing different kinds of extreme things. Stuff like that isn't a problem for me. So it's like a big mix. I'm also in The End is Noir, which is from a South American developer. So that's pretty cool.
Ooh, fun. Definitely have to link some of those in chat for us as well.
Okay, yeah. And yeah, they cast me as like usually evil and weird. And then on the other side, harem protagonists.
Love it.
Yeah. I'm not a degenerate yet. My friends wanted a body pillow of my character, so that exists now. So.
That's amazing. I'm harems are a guilty pleasure. I hate that I enjoy watching them so much, and they put out so many every season.
Yeah, the thing is, if your friends encourage it, and if you're friends with the popular cosplayers, it's like, well, then we should do this. Yeah. I've been last year. I became friends with a bunch of cosplayers, so stuff like that. I was like, yep, that makes sense now. Yeah, it's like it's like if you haven't watched JoJo and then have people try to explain JoJo to you, you've actually experienced JoJo.
Exactly. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course.
And then, guys, we'll get into our more character role. This is this character is the role is the Harkians, I believe. These are like horse people. So we're still going to have a little bit of a voice to it, a unique sounding voice, but the important thing here is that this is Emirian that we're reading for. He is like the leader of these almost rebels. They're like defending their home from an invading force. So let's read through this script, and then we'll ask for some hands to come up and see who wants to read for him. So in the deep woods, you find the camp where Miriam's brother told you the conspirators might meet. Nervous Harkians exchange uncomfortable glances when you arrive. Miriam's brother. It's well known that the most people keep the speech rule, but Ekarin would have followed us with his every command. Miriam. So he says, but he has too many with him. Many will die if we fight, says Miriam. Hoarse cries shatter the circle of conspirators. Ekarin and his followers surround you with sharp sickles and gleaming spears. They must have followed us here, says Miriam, snatching a broadsword from the ground. So we're going to go to... Yeah, we're going to start here. So it seems like a meeting of conspirators, sort of hush hush, and then it goes into a fight, and then thanks for helping out with the fight afterward. A body pillow, could one hero protagonist, evil and weird depending on the media. Oh gosh, what is in Jackie? An example of that is like the one human in the Demon Lord's army. I think something similar to that. He's a human who like uses a mask and was raised by demons, but all the demons think he's this big, powerful demon dude, but he's just a guy. So he has this big evil sounding thoughts and voice that he uses, but he's just some dude, and there's a bunch of girls around him, of course. So that's an example of an evil. I'm sure there's others as well. And they've been going. Harems in general have been leaning towards very odd sides, like a shield hero was an example of one, I believe, where the character sounds like a degenerate, in my opinion, or is written that way. And I can't remember the name of that other one. Anyway, let's get into Emirian here. Who, Randy, you would like to? Perfect. Come on in. Welcome, welcome.
I am using not my computer, and I have no microphone. Is there an echo?
Not bad. No, you're all good.
Okay.
Yeah, this is perfect for just a little example that we're having here. Obviously, if we were recording for real, I would say definitely not, but we're just having some fun here.
Too annoying. I would give it up.
Nah, all good. All good. So
So you said this is a horse person, like centaur style?
yeah, centaur style, but not a bull, so less. There's an actual bull man minotaur demon in this game that I voice. But these are horse people. They're a little bit more sleek and honorable, regal. Yes, exactly. So, in the deep woods, you find the camp where Miriam's brother told the conspirators to meet. Nervous Harkians exchange uncomfortable glances when you arrive. It's well known that most don't keep the speech rule, but Ekron would have followed us, or but Ekron would have us following his every command.
But he has too many with him. Many will die if we fight.
Says Miriam. Horse cries shatter the circle of conspirators. Ekron and his followers have surrounded you with sharp sickles and gleaming spears.
They must have followed us here.
Says Emirian, snatching a broadsword from the ground. I like the first one. I'm not even going to... I would have used that first take on the first line. The second one, give me more surprise and anger. So Ekron and his followers surround you with sharp sickles and gleaming spears.
They must have followed us here.
Very good. I like that it still sounds like, yes, I'm on the righteous side. They must have followed us here. Yeah, very good. I like that one. I got no notes on that one either. Let's go. After defeating the enemies with hell in his eyes, Ekron leaps. This is the bad guy, by the way, the leader of the bad guys, Ekron. With hell in his eyes, Ekron leaps to deal a death blow to Emirian, casting a bloody spear at him. Emirian spins around, leaps out of the way, and Ekron tumbles to the ground, falling into a jagged trident. He struggles for breath, choking, reaching upward. Then he is still.
Thank you for helping us. This was a gruesome way to end things. But I believe we'll have a free society now. That we can do away with the old laws.
No, sorry. I think I'm misreading the character. Miriam's the victor, the guy you read for just a second ago. He just won the fight. He dashed out of the way of the spear.
Oh, I thought I was stabbed with the jagged trident.
No, yeah. Ekron was attacking you, and then you dodged him. Dude fell on a trident and died.
Got it.
So he struggles for breath, choking, reaching upward, and then he is still.
Thank you for helping us. This was a gruesome way to end things, but I believe we'll have a free society now that we can do away with the old laws.
Says Emirian. Azarius is like this character's like a very like monk, religious kind of older guy. Careful you do not abandon all your customs, or you'll find yourself lost in a stormy sea of ideas.
Perhaps we will find the library one day. Here, as promised, for helping us.
Very good. And that's a big thing that we definitely tell our actors more often is a lot of the times read the line as if the like says Emirian or Emirium pauses. Sometimes those we might cut those out of the narration entirely. So give me that last line again as if you're like you finish. We might find the library one day as you're like looking through your pockets, and then you hand me something.
Okay, so you're saying like just a bigger change between the says Emirian?
So at the end of we'll find the library one day. Oh yes, and here as promised for helping us.
Oh, so don't make that pause.
Yeah, don't leave the pause there. Do one without it. Yeah.
Great, absolutely, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps we will find the library one day. Here, as promised, for helping us.
Perfect. That's exactly what I would want. We will. I'm going to go back to this one for a second. I wouldn't change this last one at all. Pretty much. Again, very good. For Emirian, when he's thanking the heroes, give me the read. You just been through a massive fight where you had to kill your own brethren. You are still on the side of good, so but you're reluctant that this had to be the way things were. When he says like this was a gruesome way to end things, give me the pause at like this was a gruesome way to end things, something like that. Like, and you're almost out of breath, but you're still like the big strong hero, so you're not gasping by any means.
So realize in the middle of the sentence that it's gruesome.
More admit that it was gruesome, less realize. So he struggles for breath, choking, reaching upward, and then he's still.
Thank you for helping us. This was a gruesome way to end things, but I believe we'll have a free society now that we can do away with the old laws.
I like everything. We're going to go over this last part of the line, the old laws. This is the whole goal of Emirian and the conspirators is to do away with the old laws. The read you gave me the feeling that, and obviously you would know this because this isn't the first thing you would see for Emirian that you'd be reading for. You'd be able to experience the character a little bit more than this. Give it to me more as if. Sorry, I need to stand up again. Give it to me more as if he's finally relieved that he can do this, that he can get rid of the old laws. Like he just won the last fight he needed to do it.
Okay.
So same line for the rest of it. He struggles for breath, choking, reaching upward. Then he's still.
Thank you for helping us. This was a gruesome way to end things, but I believe we'll have a free society now that we can do away with the old laws.
Very good. Yes. Yes. The feeling at the end there. Yes, we can do away with the old laws. Yes. Yeah, very good. That's exactly what I wanted. I can even show you guys what that actually sounds like too. I kind of forgot that I could do that. Give me 1 second, I'll pull it up. I should be able to log in here, and it's what? 27.2. So in Distant Skies, 27.2. This is our app, by the way, if you guys haven't seen this before. I think I'm streaming. Yeah. This is where all the audio goes. So if I go to 27.2, boop. So this should be, if not all of it, a portion of it. Very cool. And then this should take us into the Wii 1. There we go. So the character, sounds right. And so Adam, I did the casting. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just repeating. My echolele is strong. Perhaps we will find the library one day.
Yeah, the accent. I couldn't remember exactly what it was, so I was kind of giving it my memory of it. But yeah, the accent is when Adam gets a new race of characters. It was entirely unique to this game. The Harkians, the horse people. He tries to separate them from your normal people. So even if you're not paying attention to the story, if you hear that tone of voice, that cadence, that accent, you know you're dealing with that kind of individual. Whether it's in Gloomhaven, there's these race of people that are just a mound of bugs. That is like a colony, a hive mind that acts as a single entity. And they have a very unique way of speaking. The Savas that I mentioned, he uses the same effect on all of the Savas. So they have the very, yes, welcome, thank you for joining us today. So when we give those voice notes to people, we try to have it all sound the same, so but different enough, because they are different people still. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I loved your read as well. I couldn't remember how it was read here because I think Adam did the live directs for this game. I cast the majority of the characters though. That was about a year and a half ago. But thank you so much for joining me, guys. It was a ton of fun. Thank you for reading these scripts with me. We might make this a returning feature of our workshops. This time we talked about, I'll do a quick little recap. Today we talked about how to work with Forteller. We covered things like some starting equipment that you might want, working with and knowing who you are working with and auditioning for, knowing your scripts, and as well, excuse me, as well as marketing yourself so people know who you're talking about. Let me see if I've played match 3. I'm catching up on the centaurs or horse-headed with tabaxi might be. Centaurs or horse. I think, Jackie, it is more like tabaxi, but if I remember correctly, they're more similar to like Egyptian gods. It's just people with the head of an animal. The depiction of Egyptian gods. This is so cool. I hear the nobleness. Totally fun. I recommend it. Have some workouts. Thank you for hosting this. It's very much appreciated. Of course. Thank you so much for joining us. Everybody, again, apologize for being a little late. Next time I will be more on track. And I will post about, I'll have the recording for this eventually. I'll probably just post the VOD unlisted in Discord and link to it so anybody can watch it in the voice actor channel. I'll probably post it in YouTube. And then next time I'll have some more. I'll have another poll covering what we're going to cover next month. I'm trying to make this a monthly thing. If we see a lot of support for it, I may break them into groups because I think with our current Discord level, the workshop or the stage system can hold 50 people while I still have video going. But thank you so much for joining me, guys.